Welcome to the Lazy Actor Podcast with your host, Yvonne Juanez-Ruiz.
What's up, everybody? This is a little reminder that this is part two of our two-part conversation with Edie Inksetter. So if you haven't listened to part one, it's the episode before this one. Make sure to check that out before you listen to this one so you have some context. But if you have heard part one, enjoy part two. Big thank you to RadioRadio.com, the company that produces this podcast, and to theactorsplace.org, the company that brings me. Enjoy, everybody. Okay, let's play a quick game.
Oh God, okay, games.
No, this is a fun one. This is the emphasis game.
Oh yeah.
The emphasis game.
This is one of the ways that you. It's a great exercise to teach people how just a subtle little emphasis change can completely change the meaning of something. So the sentence is, I never said they stole money. I never said you stole money. I never said you stole money. So Tim, say it. I never said you stole money.
I never said you stole money.
Edie, say I never said you stole money.
I never said you stole money.
Okay, now you emphasize the first word. Tim, emphasize I and say that line. Go.
I never said you stole money.
Edie, you emphasize never.
I never said you stole money.
I'm going to say, I never said you stole money.
Cool.
You say, what's it? I never said you. Now you say you. I never said, emphasize you.
I never said you stole money.
And then you say stole.
I never said you stole money.
I never said you stole money.
Ooh.
It's a fun. And
what did you steal?
Yeah, I know, right? My heart. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right, we're moving on. Okay, I think we covered the choice. Oh, I wanted to say one last point because you brought this up earlier. When good examples of, and listeners, these are extreme examples of crazy choices grounded in reality that certain actors can get away with. It doesn't mean you can get away with it or I can get away with it. These are just when people don't understand the concept of making strong choices that might be a little weird but are grounded in reality. Who does it better? Jim Carrey or Nicolas Cage?
No.
Is this the game?
No,
Jim Carrey does it better.
You think Jim Carrey does it better than Nicolas Cage?
I mean, that's a really tricky one. They're really different actors. Yeah, Jim Carrey does it better.
So Jim Carrey, and watch Jim Carrey's performances that are just crazy, sometimes crazy, but there's a real sense of grounded realism that plays off the realism of everyone else in the room. And
that courtroom scene in Liar Liar.
Oh yeah.
And it's not him trying to be funny. It's him being that character that can't help but not lie. You know what? You think that? What about Nicolas Cage in Bad Lieutenant New Orleans, where he's looking at a murder scene, and there's a whole story about this that he never told anyone he was going to do this, and he goes on set, and the one actor is telling him they're looking at a dead body, and he pulls out an electric shaver and just starts shaving. Like as he's looking at
a murder scene.
At a murder scene, and he's got it because he's so strung out and trying to be professional. And if you had pitched that, or that was just for me when I think of crazy choices, but like it works because it's grounded in a sense of reality.
100%.
Yeah.
Listening audience, please send in who do you think does it better, Jim Cage? Wait, Nick Cage or Jim Carrey? Nick Cage or Jim Carrey?
Put them both together in a blender, yeah.
I mean, montages, you can go on YouTube and see montages of Nicolas Cage making crazy, it's Nicolas Cage is making crazy acting choices.
Oh yeah. Okay.
You know, that'd be amazing if they could record a bunch of really interesting actors like Shia LaBeouf. I'd love to see him and his choices in auditions.
Oh, yeah.
I always wish that we were allowed to
watch the outtakes,
share and keep auditions. You know, people go, what's the best audition you ever? Yeah. And people ask me, what's the best one I've ever seen? What's the worst? What's the funniest thing that ever happened? And the only ones I really wish I had is the best. I wish I had a reel of all the best auditions I've seen, and I could put it on in classes and go, watch.
Look at this.
Watch and learn.
This didn't work for me, Edie, but you know, when I first came to Toronto, I sent an email out to every casting director and I said, hey, do you need a reader?
Yeah, it doesn't work for people.
2 of them responded and said, no, thank you. to their
Oh, that's
credit.
nice. That's
They're
nice.
Like, hey, Yvonne, thank you. We don't really know who you are. And I was like, okay, well, keep me in mind. Here's my MDV.
It's
I
a really
always find
lucky
it's so
thing to
valuable
do.
be-
Yeah, it's lucky. I'm lucky. It's really lucky. I know so many actors ask me, how do you get to do that? And I always go, ask David Christo. He reads for like 4 different casting directors. I just read for one.
I know. Yeah,
But
David. He's true. He is everywhere.
yeah,
I'm sure he'd rather
he's
be
read for,
auditioning more instead of being the reader.
well, he's read for Tina, and I think he's read for Robin, and I think I've seen him. Yeah, I've seen him a lot. So anyway,
it's luck, and once you get into there, it's top of mind. The acting, that's totally off the point, but
yes, I have been asked to do table reads from other casting people because I think they're sort of like, oh, my regular reader's not available. Who can do this? So I've been asked to do, utility reader at a table read.
You were when I did Taken, you did that.
That yes, but that was with
I remember
Stephanie.
because I was like, hey,
yeah, that's a great job too.
Yeah,
I've booked roles doing that. I booked it doing that.
Did you really?
Mm-hmm.
By being a table reader.
Yeah, I was the utility reader, and I did actually have a role. It was one line, and it was a teacher who comes in that opening scene where they're being bullies with Beverly in the washroom, and they're dumping a garbage can on her head, and I was supposed to come in and say, girls, what's going on in here or something. And then they said, well, do you want to do the utility read as well? It's it's an actor job, so it's a pretty good job to get. So I said, sure. So I went down and I started doing the utility read, and we read that scene, and I'm not in it. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm not in the movie. And there was the role that I ended up playing. That scene was in the script, and there was a casting session for it the next morning. And I was driving home from the read, and they said, casting session tomorrow is canceled. They're offering you the role. So, which is, I don't know if you've seen it, but I can't even imagine how I didn't actually have an audition for the role, but I don't know how I would have auditioned for the role had I had to, because I don't know how you take that into an audition room. Talk about having to take chances and stuff. It's just a really creepy, odd.
What was the why? Like, what was the
I was a teacher on TV, and I had like a nursery school class where I'd be going, okay, boys and girls, what are we going to talk about today? It was one of those kids shows, and I get possessed by Pennywise, and I leave the scene, and Pennywise is sitting in my place, and he's sitting with a lot of the children who've been killed in Derry. So he was sitting there with both dead and alive children. And we got on set, and Andy, who was the director, he said, okay, now get up and walk slowly towards the camera. And I don't know how sound dealt with this. I have no idea, because I don't do that. But so I got up and I was walking towards the camera, and he said, now roll your eyes at the back of your head, which I literally can't do on command. I was like,
who can?
I kept going cross-eyed. I was like, how do you do that?
Tim and I are both doing it right now.
Right? It's hard to do.
I have no idea.
And then he said, now just walk off camera, but with a look on your face like you're trapped in your body and you want to get out, and start chanting, kill them all.
A look on your face like you're trapped in your body and you want to get out.
And start chanting, kill them all. I don't think kill them all was in the script originally.
What did you do? So what did you do? Like, how did you?
You're just going to have to pull that up on YouTube and see.
Right.
I just was like, I don't know. I just, yeah.
And this actually brings me to an interesting point, because I'm going to watch this segue. Sometimes you can do physical things like clenching your butt cheeks or something like that. I've heard, to have a different look on your face.
I did not do that.
No. Well, he says Michael Shurtleff says physicalizing is a strong way to express feelings. And again, I don't think he does a good job of expressing this, because there's a lot of actors who will use physicality instead of acting.
Mm.
Yes. There were acting schools, and I actually agree with this, who say if you can find a reason to bring your hand into frame or something during your audition, that adds to the reality of the situation, because suddenly you're not just a talking head. I was putting an actor on tape once in my studio, and I was playing the dad to the character. And I said at one point, we were in my garage. I mean, I was just a reader, but we're in the dad's garage, and the dad's line is, pass me the hammer. And then they said their line, and I said, "Well, I think you." I said, "I think you want to pick up I think you want to
reach for the hammer
and give it to me." And so for me, that physicalizing it, yes, you want to do that, I don't know if he makes it sound like you want to do a wrestling match. When I read it, I was like,
he makes it sound like it's, well, he does say, okay, to his credit, he says, physical expression is not a substitute for feeling, but an extension of it. But then he says, put your goals in terms of physical images, conceive of your actions in physical terms. That's a very nice artsy way of saying things, and it sounds really cool. But as an actor, how do you make that into a tactic?
Right. It means if you're stressed, maybe pace a little. If your dad asks you for a hammer, give it to them. I also had someone tape in my studio once, and they had, I know not everybody's watching, but they were a doctor, and they had like an iPad that they were making notes of this person's, and they were looking at me as a reader. And when they went to put the iPad down, they kept staring at me, and they were trying to find the table where the iPad was supposed to go. And I said, you can look. You can just look at the table and put the iPad on it, because that's what you would do in life. But I think actors get kind of a little bit frozen and nervous when they're doing it. So they're like, I'm done with the iPad and I must put it down now, and then we will continue the scene. So for me,
that's the physicalizing instead of acting. That's your,
those are
locked into your
really
kind of thing.
Yeah, and those are really small things, but to me they make a big difference. If you are a doctor and you have like a notepad or an iPad, or if you're a police officer and you have a notepad, or those are like gifts. I think the hardest scenes to physicalize in an audition are ones where you're not given anything like that. Mm-hmm. Working with the fourth year students I'm working with right now, one guy was supposed to be jogging and talking. Well, you can't jog on the spot and talk for the whole scene.
How would I do it? I would just do it I would just talk the scene. I would just take jogging out of it.
He jogged in.
I would be like a little out of breath during the scene. Maybe kind of like moving a little bit, like I'm a little gassed, or maybe my back hurts a bit. That's what I would do.
He jogged in and stopped, and then he did a little bit of that kind of stretching stuff. But it was a long scene, and it's sort of like, so now what do you do? Now I'm standing here having this conversation with someone. So, we talked about, well, maybe there's a park bench where you've stopped or something, and you can lean against that, or, just something so that you're not sort of standing, floating in space. I'm a big fan of having something to ground you. So I'll always have a chair beside me, even if I just have my hand on it, but you can lean on it, or, so you're not alone. It's lonely out there.
I had an audition this morning. I got a call last night. Hey, can you get this in first thing like tomorrow? Because I think something happened. They must have lost a character or something, or they can't find someone because it's just me saying lines. And I always try and give myself, sometimes when I think of physicality, there's two things I do. There's physicality that nobody sees. The clenching of the ass cheeks.
Right.
Another one is sometimes like you won't see my hands, but I might be clenching my hands and stuff like that, things you don't see. And then I also think of hints of movements, stuff you don't necessarily see. Like if I just go to shake hands, that looks really fake. It takes you out of it because it's too pantomime. But sometimes I might just kind of be like, hey, nice to meet you.
If it's out of frame, like lean in like that.
You don't see it, but it gives you, Tony actually last week talked about it. Sometimes when you can't figure out a line, think about what you're physically doing and then just say the line. Just throw it all away, because sometimes that can help you.
He's a great auditioner.
Tony Napa.
Is he?
Yes, he is. Well, he's just a great actor.
He's going to listen to don't say that, because now he's going to listen to this and I'm going to get a message. You hear that, Yvonne? I'm a great actor.
No, cut that out. Cut that out.
Cut that out. Bleep it.
Trim that.
Tony, if you're listening, you're a fabulous actor. #Singing with Envy.
When people ask me what my favorite auditions are and what my most memorable auditions are, and I'm going to put everybody's mind at ease right now. The auditions that have not worked, I barely remember, and when I do remember them, I don't remember who it was. The auditions so when you go, oh my God, they'll never see me again, I sucked, that they're not going to remember that. We all have bad auditions, and nobody hangs on to that. When I see a brilliant audition, I remember who it was, and I remember what it was for, and it stays in my mind. Anyway, one of those is Tony's. My daughter broke a camera in her second audition. She went in to the room, and then someone came running out of the room and whispered to somebody else, and they all ran back in, and I was waiting, and she was 11 or 12 at the time. And I thought, well, they'd tell me if she fainted or something, right? And then they come out, and she's following them across, going into the other room that obviously still had a working camera. And on her way by, she said to me, I broke the camera.
No.
I was like, what? And she was so worried. And I said, you know what? They're always going to remember that a kid broke the camera, but they're not going to remember it was you.
There you go.
She thought she would never work again.
And I think that's a great thing to say, Edie, because I know I have fallen into that trap that you feel actors put so much pressure on themselves that they feel that when they walk into the audition room, if it's not amazing every time, you're like, well, I guess my acting career is ruined. Or,
Yes.
you know what I mean? Or if you get a correction. I always tell them, listen, corrections are good things. When a casting director gives you a direction, do it again, it means they like something and they want to see you do it even better. You got to get out of the habit of thinking, oh, I fucked up. I made a mistake. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Because I'm sure you see that. Oh, no, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Yeah, you're right.
They wouldn't redirect you if they weren't interested.
Yes. Yes. If
they're not interested, they'll say thank you very much, which doesn't mean thank you very much means you weren't good. Sometimes it was great. Then they say thank you very much. You honestly can't know. Even as much as I've been in the room, I'll walk out of a room with another casting director. People go, how did it go? I go, I don't know.
I never. Yeah.
I have no idea.
We've both been in that experience.
I remembered all the words.
You said so. I've been there. You've been there. We've all been there where it's, you walk out of there going, well, I'm a fucking fraud. I'm a fake.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I fucking booked it.
I know.
Or like,
And I've walked out of other ones and I'm like, I'm going to stare at my phone for the next 48 hours because it's clearly going to ring.
You're like, I got this. They said thank you. They were so excited when exactly. Yeah. So you can never tell. But a bad audition or making a mistake or not bringing your A game once in a while is not going to kill your career. Most people understand that. It's the consistency over time. I got to shout out Dan again. And that he says, there's a lot of casting directors when you move into a market probably won't take you seriously for the first 3 years. Because after about 3 years, all the burnouts are gone. They want to say, consistency over about 3 years. If you're coming in and you're always doing good, strong choices, good, strong performances, after about that, that's when you're going to be like, oh, I remember Yvonne, I remember Edie, they're the one, they always come in with stuff. I can rely on them to come in with good performances. They're not right for the role. They probably won't get it, but I want this producer to see them. That's when that kind of momentum builds. Mm-hmm. Nothing to say that? Okay. Fine.
I don't know. I know that I had an agent in my 20s tell me I would work in my 40s because I wouldn't be competing against all the models anymore.
Oh.
Because it'll be about the acting and it's about longevity, like you said. Yeah. All the people that have fallen off. It's devastating to hear in your 20s. Don't get me wrong. It's like, why don't you just tell me I'll work when I'm 100?
You toughed it out.
Oh, yeah, it's great now. But at 21, you sort of go, in my 40s? You may as well tell me I'm 100. Like that's forever from now. So he wasn't wrong.
I read a book and the guy said, like, hey, listen, if you haven't like created a career by the time you're 45, you might as well quit. And this is he says, like, you're 35 to 45 is like your optimal booking years. And if you don't book if you're not consistently working by then, just quit. I luckily have not taken that to heart.
Don't. I took 10 years off in my 30s to have a family and came back.
Good for you.
And it's better now than it was before I left.
Well, you're killing it right now. I mean, I'm going to read. Okay.
Sort of. It doesn't feel like the last 4 months. It does not feel like that.
Very long. Every time we always, it's. I always think we're going to get through 10 pages and we get through 3.
Sorry. It's.
Well, I accept your apology, Edie. I accept your apology. But
just edit me out.
I want you to, the thing she's saying for my listening on it, I just want to, I don't want, this is not bragging. I don't want her to brag, but I just really want people to understand that a lot of the things that Edie is saying, you can believe it, not just because she was on the other side of the camera, but because she is one of the few working actors. And what I mean by that is this. There's, in Canada, in the Canadian market, actually, you know what? I'm going to say outside of the LA market.
Yes, right.
There's essentially 2 kinds of actors. There's tax credit actors, and then there's working actors. And this is my thing that I came up with, or my kind of mentality towards it. A lot of these roles are for tax credits. The 1 lines, the 2 lines, the 3 lines here, shopkeeper, police officer number 1, paramedic 3, you know what I mean? Angry person yelling. There's a lot of these little lines that are there to give.
I've played all of those.
We all have. Welcome to my resume. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then there's those few other people, people like you, people like Tony, Julian Richings, which we've had on the show, who are.
Okay, Julian Richings, if you're going to put me in the same category as Julian Richings, thank you.
You're welcome, because I do put you in that same category.
Mhm.
You know what
Wow.
I mean? And yeah, you should listen to the episode. It was maybe 4 episodes ago. We had a really great chat with him. But you are the ones that are being booked not because of a tax credit. You know, oh, we need to have 5 Canadian actors. And I'm sorry, but you have to be honest. In Atlanta, it's the exact same thing. People say it's great to be an actor in Atlanta. Not if you're doing Hollywood films. I mean, sure, but you're going to get the Walking Dead role where you have the one line and then you get killed 30 minutes later. Like, that's the thing. Edie is one of these actors, though, that is booked as an actor. You know, they already have the tax credit. In Clarice, recurring Clarice, Handmaid's Tale, everyone's favorite aunt, you know, Aunt Elizabeth in Handmaid's Tale. I should have said this at the beginning. You had your own show. What was it?
Shoot the Messenger.
Shoot the Messenger, right? And you were that tough lady cop. You know, you're
The
that
tough lady cop.
you're the tough detective. I remember that because I watched the show. The October faction, you were recurring. I'm looking through, like, if you read her IMDb, you go like this. You kind of like scroll forever.
A lot of scrolling, yeah.
There's a lot of scrolling. That's always a good sign. But you consistently are booked for actor roles that are just, we need a good actor for this role. And it's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on. And so when Edie is giving us these kind of moments, I think it's important for us to, as listeners, to be like, try and follow what she says, not because she has experience in the casting room, because what she does books. From a strictly business perspective, you know, it books.
Yep.
Thank you. I just, like you say, try to follow what she says, because it's not easy to follow her train of thought.
Honestly, I wasn't listening to most of this episode. I was too busy watching YouTube videos of Jim Carrey.
Oh, you've got them just down in this corner here.
Right down here on my phone. All right, let's talk about one more thing, and then, you know, okay, it's almost been almost 2 hours, Edie. I don't know if you.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah,
Oh my God, it has.
so much. Tim and I have given up on times for our podcast. We'll cut it down a little bit, bleep out some of the people I called out or whatever, bleep out Edie's thing. But it goes so fast because it's so rare to have actors talking to other actors about acting in a non-fluffy way. You know, there's a million shows about famous actors talking with other famous actors about their iconic roles, but the working actor is I think an unexplored area.
For sure. Yeah.
What the hell just happened to you, Tim? Jesus Christ. We were having a moment, and again, Tim messed up.
I was agreeing
Why
with
did you
you.
walk behind me again, Tim? Okay.
Oh, my Lord.
Speaking of this is an example that actors focus on the negatives too much. So this is a very interesting thing that when I read it, I'm like, oh, that's so true. But I didn't realize it. The negatives are always written in.
Oh, we're back to Shurtleff. Yeah, the negative thing. I'm interested to hear what you think, because I wasn't sure how I felt about that.
So here's the thing that I think. As a beginner, when I was as an actor, and even now, a lot of time, the trap into being dramatic is to being negative. I think a lot of beginner actors default to, I hate this, I don't want this, I don't like this, I'm not interested. We default to negative, negative emotional choices because we think that is more powerful.
Right.
And a lot of times, this is what he says. Michael Shurtleff says, negatives are always written in a play, and it is the actor's job to provide the positives. Since many scenes are written about wanting not to be there, it's the actor's job to ask the question, why am I here? And too many actors default to things like, no, I don't want that. I don't like you. I want you to leave me alone. I want to get out of here. I'm not interested in what you're saying. We default to negatives because that's what the lines say.
Right.
And my perspective...
This doesn't sound dynamic.
No. If the lines are negative and you just say negative, then what's interesting about that?
Mm-hmm. What's unexpected?
Do you see that a lot in the casting room? Do you see that working with these acting students, that people default to these negative choices?
Honestly,
that.
No, that I don't see that a lot.
Good.
That is one part of this chapter that didn't resonate with me. I went, oh, really? Do you think so? I don't really get that.
Oh, that's interesting. So do you most actors are doing a good job of coming in with opposites or with interesting choices, not just playing the word? Because another way to read this is stop playing the words.
Yes. And if this sort of falls into what I was saying before, where I just kind of want people to bump up that energy and bump up that want to be there, then yes, I do see that. If maybe that's what I was talking about when I was saying sometimes I just want to feel like they want to be there and want to be doing that. So maybe that's his translation, but like everything doesn't work for every actor. And this doesn't work for me. I don't know what he's talking about. So,
I will
so
say,
if
though,
if this
maybe-
works for a listening actor and they go, oh, I get what he's saying, that and yeah, I can apply that. And then when Edie watches my audition, she won't think that I don't want to be there. If that works for them, that's great. But that when I read that, I went, what are you
Let
talking
me
about?
put it another way. Here's something that we were talking about before. Sometimes being realistic, people come in being really low energy because they're trying to be so good.
Yes, yes,
So people come in and they're like, what do you mean? No.
yeah. And that's where I
they're
want
quiet and they're that internal and they're like, no, but I'm really feeling it. And it's like, well, it's so low energy that
You're boring.
Yeah.
it's super boring and no one can see what you're feeling anyway. So give me something. And then maybe what you do is you put a fun little physicality. Sometimes, as a side note, physicality can just be your eyes. What you do with your eyes can be a physical choice. What you
Yes.
look at. And that's a big thing that you can do in auditions. I try and do that a lot in auditions, is have physical choices with my eyes. What I look at, what I'm seeing. You talk
and what you're not looking at.
Yeah.
Different eye lines, but also, if you choose not to look at your reader for a minute, that expresses a lot. I'm realizing that I do need to wrap up if we've almost gone 2 hours. So
cut that part out though, Kim.
sorry, cut that out.
So I mean, the one of the great,
My daughter has a 4:00 exam,
We
and
are
she needs
done.
my computer for it. Sorry,
Oh, absolutely.
sorry.
and
Okay.
I take it as a compliment that time flies when we're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it when people say, "Has it really been 2 hours?" I'm like,
Yeah.
it's been 2 hours." So cut all that part out, Tim. You got a time code on it, or you're okay. All right, so we're never going to get through all of this. So we're going to have, hopefully we'll have the mighty Edie Inksetter come back in. On
I'll
the show
come
one
back.
day.
I'll come back.
I want to end with another random thing he puts in that has nothing to do with the rest of this chapter, and it's the last thought. And I want to spend a few minutes talking about the realities of being an actor, because I always like to talk about that. And then I want to end off with a little acting challenge. All right, so here's the last thing he says. Should you be an actor?
Yeah, yes. You go, what? Yeah.
So
But now I'm in my 40s.
and you're killing it
Yeah.
on Elizabeth. So maybe as a downer, let's end on a bit of a downer. Should people be an actor? What do you say to them?
Well, if they're asking the question, they obviously have interest in it right away. I understand what Shurtleff's saying, because there's a lot of rejection. There's a lot of times where you're out of work. There's no job security. There's all kinds of reasons you don't get jobs that have nothing to do with how hard you're working. So yes, you have to be prepared for all of that. But if someone says, should I be an actor? I wouldn't dismiss it and say, if you can be anything else, be it. But I would say what you say. Yeah, you should try, but you should know this. It's not easy.
I think the question answers itself. I remember in radio, when people said, should I be a radio disc jockey?
Yeah.
And we all said, you got 3 years to find out. Because you look at
Right.
the attrition rate and that.
Yeah, this 3-year rule. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
if you're meant to be an actor, it's because you can't imagine doing anything else for a living.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I have difficulty watching plays because I can't get out of the need to be on that stage. I get so worked up.
Right.
I can't watch any live shows or things, and I'm like, I get anxious. I'm like,
So don't hold them down.
yeah, and I get a little worked up about it. You know what I mean? Every time, when I think acting is gonna, and I sometimes question, like, God, am I still an actor? Should I still be an actor? This is so hard. It's destroying every other part of my life constantly, constantly.
Yeah.
I had like all these plans for this morning. Guess what? Nope, because I got an audition. So cancel everything. Now I'm
Right.
running late. I'm running. I'm stressed out of my mind. But could I live without it? I don't know.
I don't think I could live without it.
I can't. I get so worked up when I see a bunch of filming trucks, and I'm like, what the?
How come I'm not? What are they?
Why am I
Yeah.
not at, what show is this?
I get that way when someone's refinished their driveway and they have orange pylons at the end of it. I'm like, what's going on over there?
What's going on over there? Why am I not part of this? How come I didn't hear about this?
That's right.
You guys need a Latino guy to play Rodriguez. You need a Latino guy to play Rodriguez. And with that, everyone, I want to say a big thank you. Edie, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your wisdom.
Thank you.
You were great.
Make sure to check her out on Clarice on CBS Original. And if you haven't watched The Handmaid's Tale, make sure to check out The Handmaid's Tale. That's playing right now. And if you have watched The Handmaid's Tale, you're welcome. You're welcome.
And season 5 is coming up.
Oh, the way she said it, you know that she's got some stuff going on in season 5. Oh, bravo, Edie. Thank you so much. Anything you want to plug before you go? How can people find out more about you, coaching or acting classes or anything like that?
I'm not doing them right now, unfortunately, but
Too busy acting.
yeah. But they can always reach out to you if they need to find me.
Theactorsplace.org. Theactorsplace.org.
The Actors Place.
And if you're ever curious about, theactorsplace.org.
.org.
If you're ever curious about video production, commercial production, or making a podcast, check out radioradio.com. The mighty Tim McClarty here is producing many a podcast. Maybe we'll talk to him about producing our radio show about
Out of Thunder Bay.
Our audio drama. All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that little taster, we're going to say thank you all so much for joining us, you lazy, lazy bastards. Make sure to read the book Audition by Michael Shurtleff. And Edie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Ivan. Bye, Tim.
Bye, Edie.